Here we go, back at it again with the gaming news. G'day guys, I'm Champ Chong. If you end up enjoying today's video, make sure you smack that like button real good for the return of the gaming news. But anyway, in today's video, it's going to be kind of split. I've got some awesome gameplay stuff in the second half regarding the Division 2, and then in this half of the video, I'm going to be talking about some gaming news regarding the PlayStation 5 and some news that's been going on for about a week or so, but I haven't touched on it just yet because, well, there's a few things that I want to talk about, and that's what we're going to do right now. So if you don't know already, there is some big news regarding the PlayStation 5 and backwards compatibility support because, well, it looks like Sony will be implementing backwards compatibility for the PlayStation 5, which is just awesome, awesome, awesome news. The reason this news is so awesome is because, well, the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4, they don't have backwards compatibility. It's just one of those things. It sucks that it's not there, but Sony decided not to put it in, and, well, it just hasn't been a thing ever since then. Now, the way we do know that the PlayStation 5 will most likely have backwards compatibility is that Sony has filed a patent for the next console, and it's to make games work with the PS4 and the PS3, PS2, and the PS1. Now, on top of just the backwards compatibility right there, what we've recently also found out, and this just through some things regarding the actual production of the console, is the specifications. And what we do know right now is that the CPU will have custom 8-core, which will be 16-thread Zen 2 CPU. Then the GPU there is a custom Navi chip, and it's 8+ teraflops. The memory will come in at 12 gigabytes GDDR6, and the storage will most likely be a 1 terabyte SSD. Now, this is just all from the production line and things leaking like that, but that's pretty much all we do know from the actual hardware standpoint of the console. And then also, obviously, we are talking about hardware and software when it regards the backwards compatibility, which we just found out about last week. Now, this is really exciting news because if you have an Xbox console, like an Xbox One, it allows you to actually go back and play older Xbox games digitally, or actually if you still have the disc. And this is a great feature. Everybody loves it, but some people out there are questioning whether it will be a good thing for Sony to do when it comes to actually making money for the company. Now, what they actually mean by that is that it could potentially spell the end of remastered classic games like how we see with Spyro and Crash Bandicoot and other titles like that. But I honestly don't think that's going to be an issue because, well, we're still getting those on the Xbox anyway, and you're still seeing huge success that way and huge success with older games that are backwards compatible anyway. Let me know what you guys think about the PlayStation 5 backwards compatibility. Do you want it to be a feature? I'm pretty sure we all do. Just let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on that. But anyway, guys, that pretty much does it for the gaming news part of today's video. We'll have a more in-depth gaming news with way more gaming news, just not just PlayStation stuff, in tomorrow's video. But today, we are going to go take a look at the Division 2 because I was invited by Ubisoft to go play the game before the beta actually came out. So let's check it out. So this is the Division 2. Well, technically, it's us doing the Macarena in the Division 2. But, yeah, I don't know why we decided to synchronize this and create a little choreographed session, but the real Division 2 is what you see on screen right here, and it's the action-packed gameplay. So, if you don't know, the Division 2 has a beta happening right now, and I will be giving away some keys on my Twitter. So if you want a code for the beta, make sure to head on over to my Twitter. But I wanted to talk about this game to give you guys an idea of it because what I got to do is actually go to Ubisoft and play this game ahead of time, and thanks to the team at Ubisoft for allowing us to do that because I actually spent like a good 3 hours, maybe even more, like 4 or 5 actually, playing this game and I didn't get bored. Now, I will give you a heads up though, I was using a controller. Yeah, I'm a mouse and keyboard guy these days, so if you see my aiming isn't the best, even though there is a bit of auto aim, I apologize because I'm used to mouse and keyboard, but we were using controllers. That's just a little bit of a heads up for you guys watching this video. Please don't crap on my gameplay too much. But you will notice a few things in this gameplay, and that is that there is a bit of a difference to the last game. There are huge wide open spaces this time around, like you see. That's why I brought up this gameplay first. And then there are other levels similar to what we saw in Division where you're indoors and you're actually just confined to these really small spaces, and you can see the actual like city here, and this kind of does remind you of the original game because the big tall building, the narrow streets, but you will come across different level designs, and I love that. It's an open world again, but I love the fact that you will find yourself and your friends and whoever you're playing with in giant open spaces like you just saw in that first clip. And you've got to figure out how to actually approach these fights, because you could have enemies coming from all different directions. Then you'll find yourself again in these narrow streets with the tall buildings, and you've got to figure out how to go through them. You've got to take cover, and then eventually you end up indoors, and you'll find yourself in those narrow, tight spaces, and you don't want to be rushed on by the enemies. So there's really good level design in this. It definitely comes down to you and your team working as a team and figuring out the best possible way, and I love that. Now, something else I actually love is the sound design in this game. One of my favorite things I found was the sound of the weapons. It just sounded, it's like satisfying. It's really satisfying when you're shooting a gun and you're killing an enemy and you're wiping out a whole enemy squad, and you're in these, especially in these areas here, you'll see, like look at me looking at this guy here. But you'll notice like there's just this different sound design. So when you're out in the open compared to when you're indoors in these tight, narrow areas, this was my favorite, these kind of fights. Especially this one, it just felt like you were in an action movie. It felt like something from like one of those 90s Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. You're indoors, there's all these like gas leaks, and there's just all this crazy stuff happening, and it's just loud, it's action, it's non-stop, and there are explosions and all sorts of crazy stuff going on in these really confined spaces, and the sound plays a key role, and it was one of my favorite parts of this game. Now, on top of that, something else I really enjoyed was the fact that it actually didn't feel repetitive. A lot of games like this end up feeling, and I found this a little bit in the First Division game, and I'm pretty sure they've mastered it now, is the fact that every mission feels different. Like you're not doing the exact same thing every time. You're not just going in and wiping wave after wave. And there are moments that it feels like that, but then it takes you to another point and you're like, whoa, I didn't expect this. There were a few different levels, like I don't even know if you call them levels, but that's what they basically are. You're going through different settings and you're like, whoa, okay, I didn't expect these kind of enemies to come from this sort of like formation, and it just actually feels different every single time around, and you have to think differently, and that's one of the beauties of it. You don't just go in there and you've just got to kill enemy after enemy after enemy. It actually feels like every time that you are going up against waves of enemies, you've got to think differently, and that's the thing about it. It's not even just the level design, it's the way that the enemies come at you and the levels of enemies. So it's one of my favorite things, definitely, is the way that the actual missions are structured. For example, like this now is slightly less narrow. It's an open space. There are multiple levels. It's like 1, 2, and 3. You can see that. And it's one of the best parts of this game, definitely. So yeah, I honestly can't wait for the beta. If you guys want to play the beta, make sure you get in on it. I'm going to be doing a giveaway for some codes. So make sure, as I said, to go over to my Twitter and you can win yourself a code for the beta. I'll be seeing you guys online. I'm going to have a blast. I'm going to squad up with some of you guys, definitely. And yeah, make sure to be on the lookout for those codes and follow me on Twitter. Again, thank you so much to Ubisoft Australia for allowing me to capture this game and play it for hours on end last week. Thank you, guys. And there it is, guys. That is The Division 2. It is an awesome game. I know some of you guys are in the private beta and you guys are enjoying it. But anyway, that does it for today's video. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, make sure you smack the like button. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.